Hey everyone, we're doing a movie review on the movie Roma. My name is Katerina.
My name is Luis.
My name is Jonathan.
And my name is David.
Alright, so in this video we're going to give a background on the director. We're going to provide the movie setting, give character introductions, summarize it, provide the symbolism we found, and connect it to our class topics. Alfonso Cuarón is a director and writer for the film Roma. Alfonso was born on November 28, 1961, in Mexico City. He's built a reputation in the film industry with his fluid storytelling in various ranges of genres. Alfonso has been in the film industry for many decades, and he got his first start in Hollywood in 1995 with the film A Little Princess, and then continued his directing career with famous films like Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Children of Men, Gravity, and much more. His most recent film, Roma, is a story that is 90% true and is based on his relationships with his nanny. Much of the set was filmed in his hometown in Mexico City, and most of the props came from his home, so that the film could be as authentic as possible. He even made it a point of emphasis to have the cast look like his family, including the nanny. Roma centers around his nanny growing up, who ended up becoming a big part of his family.
The movie Roma takes place in the 1970s in the colonial Roma neighborhood in Mexico City. From the 1960s and 1970s, the Mexican Dirty War was happening. During the war, there were two major massacres.
The first one was known as Tlatelolco Massacre that happened in 1968 in Mexico City.
There were large demonstrations protesting the 1968 Mexico City Olympics, and during this protest, there were hundreds killed.
The second massacre was known as Corpus Christi Massacre.
This massacre happened on June 10, 1971 in Mexico City. There were 120 protesters were killed, including a 14-year-old boy. Protesters were blocked by riot police and police officers, but it was a paramilitary group that was trained by the CIA and the Federal Security Directorate, known as Los Halcones. Los Halcones attacked the protesters with sticks, like how Fredman was in the movie. It turns out that he was taking martial arts in a training camp that was set up by the United States. That didn't push the protesters away, so they attacked again with rifles, while the police were ordered not to intervene.
Cleo is a nanny and the maid of a middle-class family in Mexico City. The film follows the point of view of Cleo throughout the film. She comes from indigenous roots, and she works as nanny and maid alongside her sister Adela. Adela plays a supporting role in the film. She plays the role of maid mostly, doing a lot of the behind-the-scenes work like cooking and cleaning. Ignacio is the other worker for the family. He serves a smaller role, only acting as a chauffeur for the family. Fermin is a romantic partner of Cleo. His main interest and dedication in the film are martial arts. Sofia is the mom of the family that Cleo serves. She's the glue that keeps the family together. Even though Cleo is her worker, she treats her like family by supporting Cleo through her personal struggles. Antonio is the father of the family that Cleo serves. He's a doctor with a heavy work life that takes him away from his family. He plays a big role in the story and is the source of the conflict for his family. Teresa is the grandma of the family that Cleo serves. She's a support system for everyone in the family, including Cleo. The kids in the film are Toño, Paco, Pepe, and Sophie. They all have a positive and strong relationship with Cleo and their parents. They provide humor and emotional scenes throughout the film.
The movie Roma begins in the early 70s of Mexico City with a housekeeper named Cleo who oversees 4 children, Sophie, Pepe, Paco, and Toño, from the wealthy family of Señora Sofia and Dr. Antonio. Cleo is a huge help for Señora Sofia, alongside being a caretaker for her children during the absence of Dr. Antonio in his work trips. Cleo is considered a huge part of the family as looked up upon by the 4 children. One day, after helping, Cleo goes out with Adela on a double date with her boyfriend, Ramon, and his cousin, Fermin. Cleo is dating Fermin, and on their double date to the movies, Cleo and Fermin instead choose to stay in a hotel room. They proceed to sleep with each other, in which Fermin pronounces his love for Cleo, alongside his ambition and history of why martial arts is a big part of his life, is professed to Cleo. When Fermin and Cleo rendezvous again for another movie, Cleo tells Fermin that she has been late normally and that she may be pregnant. Fermin claims he needs to use the bathroom, and if Cleo would like ice cream during the movie. However, Cleo waits for Fermin only to discover she has been left alone for him not to return. In the midst of her dismay, Cleo weeps to Senora Sofia, saying she believes she is pregnant. Being reassured by Senora Sofia, Cleo is brought to the doctor to confirm her pregnancy. In the resulting time afterward forwarding to Christmas, Senora Sofia brings everyone in the absence of Senor Antonio to her brother's for festivities. In the midst of the holidays turning into New Year's, violence breaks out due to disputes and arrests resulting in a fire in the family's presence. However, shortly upon arriving back home, Cleo decides to bring the children to go see a movie, in which, to her surprise, she discovers Senor Antonio with another woman. After her discovery, Cleo decides to search for Fermin by seeking his cousin, Ramon. By eventually leading to Fermin's martial arts training location, she discovers that it is a U.S. training camp instead. As she tries to tell Fermin that she's having his baby, she is instead rejected and threatened by Fermin that she will be beaten if she reaches out to him again. Back home, Senora Sofia discusses how Senor Antonio was not actually away for his work trips, but instead he was with another woman. Her ruse that Senor Antonio was in Canada was for the benefit of the children. However, Paco soon overhears this and is instead placed with the responsibility of holding the information from the rest of his siblings. Later on, Cleo is invited by Sofia's mother, Doña Teresa, to go shopping for a crib in the store. In the midst of shopping, violence breaks out nearby, where shots are fired from protesters and revolters enter the store, pointing arms at patrons. One man pointing at Cleo is shown to be Fermin, who later lets her go. However, from this, Cleo's water breaks and she's rushed to the hospital. At the hospital, Sofia is rushed to her delivery. Only soon after her operation, her child is lost. In her dismayed return to the household for work, she is invited by Senora Sofia to a trip out of town with the family as a guest. However, during this trip, Senora Sofia announces to the children that Senor Antonio was never in Canada, but instead this trip will serve as the cover for him to pack his things and not return home. When they all return home from this vacation, the family and Sofia see that the home is less than it was before. Dismayed, they all stay together and stay reassured, seeing each other that their pain and sorrows are subsiding, and they understand that they're closer than they were before.
According to the article by King from Slate, the dogheads were a memory of Alfonso's. He used to go to that specific hacienda when he was a child, so having the dog head stuffed on the wall is completely wrong. It also came from reality, but it enhanced the idea that sometimes the wealthiest classes in Mexico really like to show off. In addition, during the movie, there was a moment when Benita showed Cleo all the dog heads on the wall. In a way, it also shows how long the maids have been working for that family, which again shows off their wealth status. Airplanes. According to the article by Kane from Slate, it seems that it was a moment in which traveling was starting to become accessible to certain people, so it was a status symbol. Also, it wanted to give an urban feeling because it was an element that really populated the city. La Roma, the neighborhood, is below the air route to Mexico City Airport, which is not far away from there. So every time we talked about the details about the sounds of the street or the perfume of a certain stall in a corner, Alfonso would talk about the planes always passing.
Ford Galaxy. The Ford Galaxy was a symbol for status. The original house was built in the 1930s. It was not meant to have a huge car that was created in the 70s. The ritual to get into the car was ridiculous and took several minutes. Antonio, throughout the film, showed more appreciation and care for that car than his wife, Sofia. Ultimately, Sofia destroys it out of frustration.
In the movie, the director focuses on the two female characters, Cleo and Sofia. These two female characters have difficulties throughout the movie as one tries to start a family with a man that wants no part in her life. The other one tries to keep her family together but eventually fails and decides to raise her kids without the help of the father. In the movie, the director focuses on the two women in the movie, Cleo and Sophia. After coming home drunk and destroying the husband's car, Sophia tells Chloe, "We're alone. No matter what they tell us, we women are alone." The males in the movie are portrayed as your stereotypical man. This was especially true when thinking of how machismo played a role in males during this time and even today. The movie focuses on the relationship between fathers with their families. Fernand has no problem having a sexual relationship with Cleo but leaves her in the movie theater when she tells him that she is pregnant. Then he uses his physicality to intimidate Cleo when she goes to find him. The father, Antonio, comes home late and leaves for periods of time, never spending quality time with his kid or wife.